Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Thank you to the organizers of Digital Dragons for having us. My name is Michael Liebe. I'm ambassador of the GamesNet Berlin-Brandenburg. GamesNet is an organization in Berlin with roughly 40 to 50 members from the games industry, and we have a program to connect better the Polish industry with the Berlin-based gaming industry. So before we jump into the topic, I will just in 2 minutes, promise no longer, show you why we are doing this and what we did so far and what will happen next. And I have to manually go through my presentation. Who's from Poland in the audience here? Okay, 99%. Unfortunately, I cannot switch to Polish yet, apart from Czech, dzień dobry, jedno piwo, proszę, and that's almost everything, but it gets me around. So, yeah, thanks again for being here. We have a booth in the front, so when you enter the venue you can meet the companies which we brought from Berlin and us in order to get better, deeper information. I'm also heading International Games Week Berlin, which is a big festival. We had 10,000 attendants from all over the year this year. It's in April, and we have a Polish Games Day within that framework, together with the Embassy of Poland and the Polish Institute. And we will do it again next year, April 20 to 27. I will show you something about that. And feel invited already. It's a really good place to meet with the industry, the local industry, but also the international industry. This whole idea came up last year when we did some scouting travels to Poland. We were at PGA, we were at WGK in Gdansk. We had a Polish economic conference in Berlin, and we also were in Warsaw and visited some companies such as CD Projekt, 11-Bits and so forth. And we were really surprised and amazed by the Polish games industry, how big it is, how fast it is growing, and how good the quality of games are. That's why we decided to take the next step. We initiated a campaign called Berlin Meets Poland. And what we want to do is create a sustainable network between the companies in Berlin and in Poland. It's not politically motivated, it's really about bringing business people closer together. And these are some of the targets we follow with that program. It is funded by the European Union and by the Senate of Berlin. So we did also a study about the Polish games market, how relevant it is, and what we discovered is that it's quite similar, at least the basis you have, the potential in the markets that you have in the player base. Unfortunately, the slides are in German, that's why I will skip through it. But what's also quite cool here is that the gender ratio is quite feminine also in Poland, and that's and the age ratio also is similar. So there are cultural similarities between the two player basics. What there's lacking is, of course, the monetization part in Poland, and that's why we are having this panel discussion here also now. Same as for the players, it's about the systems used. Germany also is a PC country and very big on Android and iOS as well. And there are also certain hotspots in the two regions. So we are from Berlin, as you can see, closest city to Poland. But there's also Hamburg, Cologne area, Frankfurt area, and Munich, which are really big gaming industries in Germany. In Poland, we have discovered that it's really worth coming to Krakow. That's a thriving local industry here, but of course also Warsaw, Poznan, and Wrocław. Unfortunately, I haven't managed to go to Wrocław yet. Is there anybody from Wrocław? Sorry. Yes. Give me a good reason, apart from being a cool city. There should. So Mariusz, in the briefing of the conference, he actually asked us to give a presentation about how institutions grow and how to build up a network. But we thought this is better done in a closed workshop, so we are planning to do something in Warsaw. We are not sure yet when and how, but if you are interested in how to develop a network, a company-driven network, perhaps fund an association or whatever, we are happy to share our know-how about that. And we were quite successful growing it. Hi, Alexander, in Berlin. Just to give you one main feature why it works quite well is because there's a dense network of institutions. There are 2 industry associations for the developers and the publishers. There are public institutions like the Senate, Medium Board and others, and they all work together in order to support the games industry. And that's something you have to achieve, and then it kicks off to also help your local industry have an identity and perhaps also go international. So the measures we are doing is we started everything this year in April at International Games Week with the Polish Games Day. Now we are at Digital Dragons, as you all know. There will be Gamescom, so if you guys are going to Gamescom, I know there's a Polish booth there. The Ministry of Economics is managing it. Go there. We will have also Polish Berlin get-together at Gamescom, so feel invited already. And we will go to PGA, and I learned today that WGK will be happening again in Gdansk, so please add it to this PowerPoint. And then the Computerspiele Museum, we will invite a famous Polish game developer to show how he sees his vision on creativity in the games industry to the Computerspiele Museum in Berlin. So give it a shot at our websites, Facebook, whatever. And but most importantly now, let's dig into the discussion. Thank you for your attendance and being here.
Hello. Dzień dobry, właściwie to dobry wieczór, bo już prawie. Nazywam się Hubert Habas i mam przyjemność poprowadzić dzisiaj ten panel. I to będzie wszystko po polsku, co mogę dzisiaj powiedzieć. Now I switch to English for you to understand, because no, you haven't been told it's going to be all in Polish? Okay, sorry.
Dobre.
So, now we will have a panel, and I will be a moderator. There will be some questions, but please, if you, any moment you feel like you want to ask additional question, even trolling Tadeusz, no problem, please interrupt us, and there is a microphone here, so you will be well heard. So please interrupt us, ask additional questions. Maybe some topics are more interested than others for you. And we will start with self-presentation of our guests. Please, could you introduce yourself and tell exactly what you are doing?
Okay, I'll start then. My name is Povkhan. I am representing Array Games, which is a publisher. We are based in Berlin, and we are working with titles mostly from Asia, and trying to maximize monetization of those in Western markets, mainly in North America, Germany, France, and the rest of Europe.
Hello. Yeah. Okay, my name is Dirk Weyel. I'm founder and CEO of Striking Entertainment, also Berlin-based, obviously, and we are focusing on connecting the real world with the virtual world more, and to bring additional revenue streams to free-to-play games. So we are partnering with developers and publishers and providing a technology and a solution around it, which brings 2 new streams to games. One is by integrating brands with native advertising and sponsorships and product placements. And the second stream is that we add a in-game e-commerce layer to it. So that means we can add real products which are fitting into the context of a game, and we sell them within the cash shop together with virtual premium currency. So for example, you could have a 3D print of your avatar in a fantasy game, or a original fan t-shirt in a football game, and sell that together with in-game currency to drive conversion from non-paying to paying users, and to attract users to come back because they learn there are new incentives, there are new products within the game.
Okay, and I'm Alexander, CEO and founder of Soft Games. We're also based in Berlin, and today we are operating the leading HTML5 games platform with more than 10 million unique users every month. For example, like for portals, we offer them free HTML5 games to fill up their inventory with high engaging content, and for developers, we help them to monetize and distribute their games globally.
Okay, nice to welcome you here. It's my pleasure to have you here. And we have a big company, like Area, with old traditions, but Dirk, you're more like startup company, and you guys also. So we were talking about it. What happened that now the startups are really growing so fast? So many startups is running in Berlin, in Warsaw, in all over the world. What's the situation now that the startups are very popular? Why now?
I think like the main reason for this basically is because it's so easy right now to start a startup. I mean, like it's like a direct access to all what you need. Like you need a PC, you need an internet connection, and probably a mobile phone, and then you can directly start. So like the entry barrier to start a startup is really low currently, I would say. Also on top of this, I mean, like also during universities, let's say professors teach, okay, hey guys, also think about starting your own startup. Don't just start at Google or IBM or whatever. Try to be creative, try to start your own company.
Yeah, and it has become really cool in a way. So yeah, you have the chance to get a pop star by creating a successful startup, and then there's especially Berlin as discovering is experiencing a hype around it because there are so many successful examples from mainly US companies, but also German startups. So it's getting a whole ecosystem which is being built up, and so this attracts a lot of young people. And I agree to Alexander as well that the entry level is so low, so you don't have to, let's say, put 100,000 debt on your shoulders in order to start something. It's more or less your working power and try to survive somehow, but you have the chance to start something.
I think that we are just getting more impatient. We are the ADD generation. We don't want to wait for 5 years for a promotion in a big corporation anymore. So we want to just jump right in and do the quick buck right now.
Okay, but where those people come from, the CEOs of the startups now and the founders, where they come from? Do they come from the big corporations where they get bored and decide to leave and start something for their own, or they are just post-graduations guys who start with because the teachers tell them don't go to the corporate, start for something for your own?
I mean, like I think it's mixed. I mean, like there's not like one group with students, one group there people who have like experience for a couple of years right now. It's very mixed, and they're coming from different countries. That's the thing what I love also in Berlin. You know, we have like access to different cultures in this way, and it's just mixed.
So the question is, when you are a startup in Germany, you have very big local market. You can start with operating only in Germany, and then if you are successful, try to go global. Is it in Poland? There is totally different. There is almost no local market for mobile games or something like that. It's very hard to monetize those games. So do you think it's for you with a very big and rich local market, it's easier for the beginning, or is it harder to be really global after successful on the local market?
I think it can be both. It can be an advantage because the home market is big enough to really make already a significant business in your home market, but companies who start their business, I don't know, in the Nordics or in smaller countries, they have to think from the very beginning very internationally, and they probably don't have the same issue when they internationalize, because they do it from the very beginning. But I think it has become internationally anyhow, because let's say people or workforce is coming from all over the place. So I think it's rather an advantage than a disadvantage.
I think it largely depends on what type of game you have, Because if it's a casual game which doesn't require much localization and which is intuitively understandable for anyone, then it does make sense to publish all over the world and just collect all of the random traffic you can get in. And if it is a very hardcore game where you actually need to work a lot to make it customized for the market, then it does make sense to concentrate on that. And in this case, Germany is a perfect example because the market is big and there is a lot of potential, like Dirk said.
Alexander?
Yeah, nothing that much to add. But actually, everything was said. Definitely, it's like I would say like the advantage of Poland that you have to be global very fast is like a very huge advantage for every startup because you always have to think global from the first beginning. It's a little bit comparable, I would say, to Netherlands, which is a very, very successful gaming startups as well, especially gaming portals. And when you have to think from the very first beginning, okay, hey, I'm not here to build a local product. I'm here to build a global product. You just have a different view on the whole startup you're starting. So I would say like for every Polish startup, always see globally. Don't think just about the local market, even if you are aware that it's like a small market.
I mean, I did a startup before. It wasn't on gaming, but it was on freemium service. And we did try to start in smaller markets in Poland, for example, and we failed completely just because we were relying on internet payments from a not very rich tradition of that in a small market. So obviously it makes sense to go global.
Okay, but so we have a game. We have a team who want to create a game. We want to have a startup. We have an idea of the game. But in the very end, we want to make a profit out of this game. So where is the moment that we should start thinking about monetization? When we are creating our game, we have the vision of the game in our minds. When is the moment to start thinking about monetizing it? After? In the middle? At the beginning? Where? Because it's really, really important not to only create a great game, but also monetize it because it's all about, in the end, it's all about making money. So what is the perfect moment and how we should approach it as a startup?
Yeah, sorry.
Alexander.
Okay, let's go for it. I mean, like, what I always say, I'm coming from the casual games area, and for casual games, you have to think from the very first beginning, okay, what will be my monetization strategy? Because I have to build, when I decide for casual games, which is mostly monetized through in-game advertisement, I have to think from the very first beginning when I'm sitting down and writing the scribbles or thinking about the whole concept, where can I put my banners that people will actually click on it? And I have to think about different ways. So for sure, you have to start from the very first beginning. The initial idea has to be, okay, hey, I have a cool game idea, but I have to earn money with this. So how I do earn money with this?
Yeah, same here. One example of mid to core games, actually, the sooner you start having the idea, the more chances you have for success.
Yeah, the same at the beginning, because I have seen with my former company, Frogstar Interactive, we were publishing big MMORPGs, and we had two, because it was in the age where the subscription model was the dominant one when we entered that space, and free-to-play was getting more and more popular. And the first two games that we had were both starting with in a subscription model, and it was not really successful. And so developer and ourselves, we thought about, okay, let's change that into free-to-play, and both didn't work out because the mechanics in the game are not the same. You have to work a lot more on thinking it through and thinking that combining game design and monetization design from the very beginning. Otherwise, it won't work.
Exactly. Game design has to start from economical model. And I'm saying from the perspective of free-to-play publisher, like we are the bad guys of the industry. And when we look at the games which we want to sign, we don't look at how cute they are. Of course, it is paramount that a game retains, but if it doesn't convert and monetize, then what's the point?
Okay. So for the last 10 minutes, you will agree everything together. So now let's mix it a little. Okay, we got a game. We got a business model behind it. We think it's going to work. So, but now we haven't decided yet, should we go to the big publisher to help us? Or should we be a self-publisher? And why?
So I believe it's getting more and more crowded, which means that developers in the online and mobile space have the chance to go direct to consumer. I think that's a big chance. And you see a lot of good examples, and you always see a lot of developers struggling because they don't have the commercial, let's say, skill set maybe within their team, or they don't have the money to really push out the game. But I don't think that it means that the old publishing model needs to be maintained for a developer. So if a developer has the chance to at least fund the game to a certain extent, then he has a chance to work with, let's say, partners, commercial partners who offer user acquisition or monetization services, publishing services, but they don't have to get into a, I don't know, 80-20, 70-30 revenue share model, or even less, like in the earlier days. So I think the big chance for a developer to build up a game, maintaining their IP, get direct to consumer, learn more about how to really develop, maintain the service, and to monetize it is huge. So from a developer perspective, I think I would try to go to self-publish as far as I can.
To self-publishers as far as I can. Okay. Anna.
Well, from our perspective, I can say that if you cannot do it on your own, then we're not interested. So the developer has to show results first. We look at the games only after they've been published in a local market or in some markets, and we look at the numbers, and then we make the decision. So you have to create a good game, and you have to create a good monetizing game, and then realize that you want to go global and you want to rely on I don't know, a bigger guy, but the initial step has to be done from the developer.
I had a couple of discussions recently with developers, and they were saying they're getting into a trap because publishers are telling them, okay, I want to see the KPIs first, and if they are good, maybe in your test market, Austria or whatever, then we want to have the game and publish it. And the developer tells me, okay, but if I know that the KPIs are good, why should I go to the publisher? Because then I can find another maybe source of money and do it on my own. So that's.
And I can give you a good reason. Generally, there are developers who bring us their games, and we help them publish in larger markets, and our KPIs, the money that they're making with us are 3 times more, the KPIs are 3 times higher than their native ones when they self-publish on their market. It is already good on their market, but we are pushing it just because we're focused.
And how much do they get out of it?
Ha! They're happy.
They're happy how? No, seriously. Come on. Make something up.
It depends. Bring us a good game, we'll talk.
Okay. Alexander, your opinion? Self-publisher or go to the publisher?
No, I always say today in the apps business, I think like success is defined on how deep my pockets are for user acquisition. So if I'm able to do a lot of user acquisition, I get up to the charts, and so I get a lot of organic traffic, and then I might have success as well. That's why I'm always not a big fan of the apps business, and I go forward to HTML5. Because the good thing with HTML5 is that you can basically do self-publishing as well. Because there are a lot of gaming portals out there where you can just directly upload your game, and you can earn money with the advertisement inside the games. And on top of this, you can also upload them to the stores and so on and so on. So I would say, like, as a developer, I would choose like 2 ways. I would choose like one way to self-publish, to make like the first experience with the channels, with my game, and then also try out with let's say a reskinned game or a different name or whatever, and go to the publisher to also learn from the publisher side what the user said. Okay, hey, why is my game not monetizing if I'm self-publishing it, and what I have to change and how I have to do this and that.
Okay. So, user acquisition. Now we have the game, now we have a business model, we decide are we going to be a self-publisher or a publisher, or we work with the publisher, but now we need the users. What is the best way to bring the users to your game? Seriously, users, just users, not make them pay yet. Just bring the user acquisition. What's the best way for you? What works? What doesn't work? What seems to work but doesn't work anymore? What's your opinion about it?
Yeah, I would say like it depends on the game again.
Okay.
It depends like no, seriously. If you just need traffic and you don't care about the users you're getting, then go and buy incent traffic.
What kind of games should it be? If you don't care what kind of
I
user?
mean, like I said, like all kind of games. It just depends what your targets are. If your targets are just okay, I want to get up into the charts, and for me it doesn't matter what kind of user I get. As I said, like go and purchase traffic on the incent channels because they have tons of traffic. But if you go and want to have, let's say, like more quality traffic, then you might choose also other channels. What kind of channels again?
If you want to have, let's say, quality users in terms of users who have, well, more likely to convert into paying users and to spend something, and then but then it also depends on the platform. But I think that the user acquisition costs, if you look at the mobile user acquisition costs, they have gone up significantly. I think the last data I was seeing in the US at least was $4.38 or something per install. And so, and ARPU, the ARPU can't grow in the same way. That means, from my perspective, it's getting more and more important again. Let's say buying users with the different platforms or networks you can is one thing, yes, but you need to combine it with finding ways to attract users or to get more organic traffic to your platform or to your game in order to have a mix, or let's say to have an average price which is lower. But if you rely completely on paid user acquisition, it's going to be really expensive, and it only can work when you are having either, let's say, very special product, or if you have very high RPPUs, and then it works with this. But I believe in that the more organic traffic you can generate by building up a buzz, by using other communication channels, by having a strong community management, you are having a chance to really get a lower average cost per acquisition.
I mean, incentivized traffic is good in two cases. First one, if indeed you have a very casual game and then you just need to create the highest DAU possible and you hope that they will stick. Or the second one, if you just want to go up ranks real high and hope on getting organic traffic from there.
I mean, like it's always like I would say, I would do user acquisition also the mixed way. Like not just paying for users, also like doing PR, trying to generate some kind of hype and all this stuff. But this is more or less something you cannot plan. It's just luck. If you get some traction in the PR or not.
Okay, so.
Yeah, and of course, best way is revenue sharing. But for some weird reason, marketing companies don't really want to wait for a year.
Okay, so we create this game, or 2, or 5, or 10, but we're almost a pop star, like you said, but not yet. And we want to create the game, the one who will make us a superstar in this industry. So, like you said, we have to start to think about the concept and the monetization model at the same time. So we're starting to think, at this moment you think is the best monetization way, is the best way to monetize your game?
Yeah, hard to say because it depends again on the game. I would say. Let's say
let's compare.
Yeah, let's say okay. If you do, the first question I would ask myself is like, okay, which platform, which engine I'm using actually?
Which platform?
If I say,
then one
again,
game, one platform, one monetization.
HTML5 game.
Excuse me?
If I say I'm doing an HTML5 game, for example, or a web-based game, like two different business models I can choose. One business model is okay, I just create the game very quickly. It's like 2-3 weeks, for example, a cool, addictive, casual game. I can go to the publisher and can sell it for, let's say, €5,000. Or the other way is, okay, I go there and I just license it on a non-exclusive basis and I receive revenues from the in-game ads. So I can do this by myself or I can go and do it together with the publisher. Let's say for HTML5, freemium doesn't make sense so far because mostly the issue is that because it's almost impossible to build the users in each country in the easy way. For apps, I would say it's the only way to go for now. If you're smart enough to really monetize the users, and we know, or I know how hard it is to really build like your game in this way that users are really able to monetize or really willing to monetize. So it's everybody says, okay, hey, freemium is the way to go, but I say always there are other ways which are way easier to monetize your game. Let's say, for example, with ads, where you don't have to think about very complex economic structures, how they can purchase and spend this kind of stuff. So it always depends, okay, what you want to do. You want to spend, for example, 2 years for your game and trying to tweak and optimize, you have enough budget. Or if you say, okay, no, I want to make my experience with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, and then I go and start like a very complex game.
I think it directly is linked to how you acquire users. And unless you're a Flappy Bird, then making money with ads...
Everybody wants to be a Flappy Bird, so come on.
Do they?
Yes.
Anyhow, I strongly believe that doing advertisement when you struggle and pay a lot to get users in a game is generally playing against you. So for us, definitely in-app purchases, freemium.
I think when you talk about free-to-play games, I think that smart in-game advertising is becoming more and more important because I consider, at least especially for a more casual or mid-core audience, that it's going to be really difficult for a lot of the games, especially in the mobile space, to monetize only via in-app purchases. This is going to be the most important, let's say, revenue stream. But if you look at the opportunities and at the reach you can get, it's really a very attractive channel for advertisers. If you do it right, by not only doing display advertising, but letting a native advertising to it or additional in-game sponsorings, I think it has a chance that this channel, because you can reach so many users with those games, that it's going to be attractive or even more for advertisers in the future, and that you can consider it as an interactive media channel, which is something that in the future gets really free to play, like you have the free TV. You didn't have that before as a media channel. That free TV is only monetized by advertisers. So, and to a certain extent, for a wide audience sort of games, I think it's going to be a very significant revenue stream.
What kind of in-app purchases? Okay, let's make it in-app purchases. What works best? What should we sell to be a real profitable from in-app purchases?
Something which plays on addiction. So something which incentivizes player to come back yet again and again and again. And that works, that comes from Japan, the gacha system with the randomized item that you pay for as a type. I can give an example on the card trading games that we are having, the classic packs, the booster packs, where you know how many of which rarity more or less cards you can get, but you never know which exact ones. That's the best. That is by far the largest chunk of monetization in a game for us.
Okay, so we got a game, we got a... Oh, sorry, Dirk, you want some? No, okay.
I agree. I always would say that like time savers and comfort enhancers, they also will always work, I think, in a pretty good way.
Okay, so now we have a game, now we have a business model, now we know how it's going to work, but we want to go global, so it means that we will need an international team because we cannot understand every culture in the world. Depending, how do you assemble international teams? Where do you find these people to work with you, and what's the most important skills they need to really work in a multinational company?
Well, we are hiring like crazy now, adding, 10, 20 people a week to the company because we're expanding and doing a lot of interviews, obviously. And the main quality is quick brains, I would say, and the rest, well, depending on the area, I guess.
yeah, let's say like I would always, because like we're hiring always also like everybody in Berlin probably. I mean, it's important. But like for me, always is important that there's like a person sitting next who has like creativity and is open to new challenges. Let's say. I mean, it's hard to say or explain this kind of mixture. What makes let's say like somebody interesting for a certain position. Because it's always a mixture from CV, from the experience, what comes like was in the past. Yeah, but it's more or less like this. You know, it's a CV. It's the experience they had, and yeah, and how like the person is presenting itself during the interview, I would say. Yeah, so normally we have like different interview processes where we can really make a big picture of this person, but.
Alexander, sorry, one question from the side. Do you have like a new job description now, which is, or how do you teach the game designer to think dollars and not fun?
To think.
How do you teach the game designer to think dollars and not mainly fun? So what's the job description, job profile for the new game designer in the free-to-play space?
I mean, like it's a process. Like for sure, like game designers in this way, they start with having crazy ideas, like what they want to create, what kind of fancy game models or whatever. But then during the time, they understand that at the end, the game needs to make money. And I mean, how to explain this? It's a process. Where you have to explain to them as well always, the idea is great, but how to monetize this idea. And when they find a solution for this, then they think for the next idea as well, okay, hey, this idea is cool, but how to monetize this, and they bring it together, and they come with another idea next time.
No, nothing to add.
Okay.
I think you won't be able to bring that into every game designer's mind, because some of them really don't like it. But I think it's just about learning that designing a game which makes money is not a bad thing. So to just do it differently.
Well, I guess for us it's separation, because game designers who actually created the game are sitting in an external office in their company, and we hire product managers who can maximize monetization of existing games, who actually come from mostly economical or business school background, who can dissect the economy of the game. And I can give you a story. Once there was a girl, and she was asked why she chose to come to gaming, and she said, well, I was in this business school studying economics and stuff, and then at one point I was talking to the guy who was designing games, and it just blew my mind that you can actually play with the whole economy. And that is the type of people that work together with game designers who create the game, because game designers who are sitting in their office and create the game, they love it way too much to monetize it the way Area does.
Okay, so one question I promised to ask, because I did in the previous session. Okay, we published this game globally, and have you ever tried, or are you doing this successfully, or don't do it because of some reasons? Do you recognize the prices? Because, for example, PC box edition game in Poland costs 30 euro, in Germany it costs 60 euro, and that's the only way it's going to work in Poland. So have you tried in the mobile games, or have you tried in the other games to recognize the prices, recognize the minimum level of in-app purchase or something like that, how it's work, and if it's work, why?
Yeah, it's not just the prices. For us, we look at each territory as a separate game and look at economies separately, because in a country with more whales, the saturation of high value items will be much higher, so the release and the events which bring new items have to come at a faster pace, and the price points will be higher. Whereas the market with more mid-level spenders to low spenders has to rely on cheaper items, smaller packs, and cheaper hard currency as well.
I mean, like I would like to add that if you decide for an ad-based business model, you don't have to take care about this. You just launch it globally, and sometimes Google is taking care about it, and you can concentrate fully on the game. So
Yeah, we are way
Nice
too
model.
we are way too control freaks for that.
Dirk?
Yeah, we did also. I think it's definitely important to look at the individual markets. So that's the same way we did it at Frogster. So it's about because adapting, not only localizing it in a way that it appeals to the local markets, but also look at the economy and the price sensitivity, etc. So it's if you look at the bigger markets, it's important to really individualize it.
Okay, last questions because we got like 3 minutes. Okay, now we have the in-app purchases, in-game advertising, new models. What's gonna be business model in the next 3 years? How it's gonna change? What's gonna work? What's stop work? Make a guess. Make a preparation.
So I think at the moment, or in the last 2 years, if you ask around in the games industry, so you get a lot of different answers, but I don't see a clear trend. So I think that free-to-play definitely is going to stay, but with different additions and hybrid models, and the way that you try to find more ways to keep the player in this game ecosystem, offering more to him than maybe only the pure in-app items or the in-game items he can use. Trying to connect him to the game, and then making more money out of him by selling additional stuff or individual merchandise or whatever. So I think it's going to stay, and you would also have the paid model is going to stay to a certain extent, and there will be hybrid models. But I think there is no clear trend at the moment.
I say, if I have to say one word, that would be customization. Because I see the whole industry going into more targeted marketing, targeted promotions, depending on which territory you are in, which type of customer you want to target, what type of experience you want to give to this or that person. So it would be probably less original ideas and more customization.
Alex?
I would say, because like what we heard from a lot of customers on our side, that people they were surprised that they don't have to pay anything in our games. So probably one business model which could have its revival would be the paid business model again. That I pay €5 for a game and that's it. I'm not sure if it's the way what the developers and publishers want, but probably the users might be happy again just to charge one and play as long as they want. But at the end of the day, I hope that advertisement will develop better.
Will.
Sure.
Okay, so I believe this is it. Do you have any questions? Yeah, and they promised me questions. Okay, so I believe this is it. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you also.